Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. We're going to be using a prop. We're switching it up. We're living our best lives. So you're going to grab for me a yoga block. If this is something that does not exist in your life, one, I'd really just highly recommend getting one, but if that is not possible, have no fear, you can use a book. I mean, feel free to get creative, just make sure you're being safe, so don't be using something that's like, you know, you built yourself with popsicle sticks or something. But grab your tool. You can always do this propless. You would just not use the prop when I use the prop. Okay, you get it? I'm rambling. I had coffee and matcha. So we're going to start laying all the way on down. Let's plant the feet heavy on the floor and then take the block. It's going to come in between the inner thighs. All right. Hands will come onto our bellies. And you're going to let your body settle down to the floor here. So see if you can let your shoulders get nice and heavy. The back of the throat is long. Can you feel your hips heavy into the floor beneath your hands? And give yourself a nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, feel the belly button pull down to the spine, wrapping your waistline as tight as possible. And we'll inhale once again, nice big breath. This time as you exhale, I want you to add a squeeze of the yoga block and then an inhale to release. We exhale, squeeze the yoga block. Inhale to release. So we're warming up our inner thighs. You might be able to feel with your hands that when you squeeze the yoga block, you can let your low abs turn on just a little bit more. Our inner thighs connect to our pelvic floor, so it's going to help us out a little bit here. We'll exhale, tuck the tailbone, so press the low back down, start to peel yourself up into your bridge, squeezing that yoga block, and then we'll slowly melt it down just one bone at a time. So if that didn't feel good, check that the heels are a good distance from your sits bones for your bridging. You can have the feet a little bit closer than hip bones distance apart, depending on the width of your block. Rolling up and down the spine, good old massage here. When we lift into our bridge, making sure that we're not lifting from the rib cage. The rib cage is staying pretty close towards the floor here. It's coming from that tuck of our tailbone and the lift of our hips. Alright, next time you're up, you're going to hold your bridge and take little pulses up and up. Gentle squeeze of that yoga block. For 4, 3, 2, hold it, just squeeze and release the yoga block. Our inner thighs are wrapping away from one another. We're really pressing down through the heels. And then see if you can think about reaching the knees over the toes, heels pull back towards the sits bones. For 4, 3, 2, hold that squeeze of the block, dip the right hip down, pull it back through center, and then other side. You can make it a little bit bigger if that feels okay. That way you get a little stretch through the hip and the side body. If you're feeling your low back, keep it nice and small. You can barely see it. For another 4, 2, and 1, we'll melt it all the way on down. Take that yoga block into your hand, and then we're going to bring it underneath the right foot. So it's the short way and the long way. Your foot fits on it beautifully here. We're going to press down through both feet to peel back up into a bridge. And we're going to take a few like that, doing our best to still keep our hip bones in line with one another. Next time you lift, you're going to hold it there. Press through the right foot as much as you can. Float that left leg up into tabletop. From here, square off those hips. We lower the butt down and back on up. And down and up. If you prefer to have that leg straight, you can do that as well. That left butt cheek is still squeezing, so it hasn't fallen towards the floor, but you should really feel it in the right glute. For another 5. Use those abs. Last one. And lower all the way on down. You can try to use your feet here and just slide it over to the other side. Planting the left foot down. Planting the right foot down, and then rolling. It feels really wrong. Oh, it's fine. Rolling it up into your bridge and melting it on down. Using the first few to really feel it out here. Okay. Next time you roll up into that bridge, you're going to pause. Take your right leg and lift it up into tabletop. Lower the butt down and up, pressing through the left foot. If you reached that right leg up towards the ceiling before, you might want to match it on this side. We have 5, 4, last one, and melt it all the way on down. Beautiful. Take that yoga block now. I'm going to use my feet to get it there into your hands, and then lift your hips up. Again, it's going to go the low way underneath the sacrum. So it's not underneath my low back. It's not, onto my butt crease here. It's someplace in between the two. Hands will start down by our sides, and you'll pick the legs up into tabletop. Ribs soften towards the floor, belly button pulls to the spine, and our knees are directly over our hips. From here, little tuck of the tailbone if you're feeling your low back. You're going to hinge at the right hip, send the right heel down, and then we'll lift it back on up. And then other side. And down. I'm going to point my feet today because I feel like it. But if you feel like you're really tight through your hip flexors, you can always flex the feet and turn on the back of the legs a little bit more. And you're only lowering your leg as much as you can keep your low back the same shape. So we're wrapping our core in to steady our torso as we move through the legs. Very important that we keep breathing. One more each side. And then pause with those legs in tabletop, true tabletop, knees over the hips. Extend right leg out long, bend it back in, other side. See if you can make this flowy, so as the right leg is in, left leg is already sending out. Not at the compromising of our hips though. Hips are staying steady, as if you were trying to balance on a ball here, not fall off. If you're feeling tight through the shoulders, maybe rotate palms up towards the ceiling. Wrapping that core in for 4, 2, 1. Bend the legs all the way on in. Hug the knees to the chest for a moment. And then bring the legs back into tabletop here. We're going to bring heels together, toes apart. It's a little nicer for those hip flexors. Press the heels together, send the legs down and up. Now you have more weight since you're using both legs instead of one at a time, which might mean that you have to limit your range of motion to keep it in the abs and out of the low back. Hopefully you're getting that shape. Really try to pull the belly button down to the spine, making that core connection. We have 3, 2, last one, and hug the knees all the way into the chest. Take your right leg extended out long, getting an opening through that right hip, and then really hug the left knee in towards the chest. If you want a little bit more for the right side, squeeze the right butt cheek. If you want even more, hug your left leg a little bit more towards your armpit and less towards the chest. And then slowly, so we don't pull any muscles, lift the right leg back up, hug the right knee into the chest, extending the left leg out long. Maybe you squeeze that left glute. Maybe you bring the knee a little bit more over towards the right armpit. Feels good. I honestly just want to stay here for like an hour and a half, but I'm going to keep us moving. Right foot's going to come down, left foot can come down. Use your glutes to lift yourself on up. Bring the block back into your hands and mount it all the way on down. Walk the heels just a couple inches away from your sits bones, and then take the yoga block in between those inner thighs again. Little hug of the block, turning on those low abs, arms up towards the ceiling. Start to nod the chin towards the chest and roll yourself up into a seated position. From here, tuck the tailbone and roll it down one bone at a time. Arms will reach back, finding a little bit of length. And then arms come back up towards the ceiling. Belly button pulls down towards the mat as you roll it back on up. Lift the arms up towards the ceiling. Arms come back forward. Little pinch of the shoulder blades, melt it back on down. Arms reach back. Now, if getting up and down is completely impossible, that's fine. Roll up through super hard. Grab behind the legs and walk yourself on up, and then walk yourself on down. Meeting your body where it's at today. Four more. Should feel nice to massage through the spine. Really try to move one bone at a time. Last one. Roll it all the way on up. Okay, cool. We're going to do some arm work here. So I'll face towards the front end of the mat and come to whatever is a good position for you. Try to have the toes tucked here, and we're sitting back on our heels. If this feels really hard for you, you can always sit crisscross applesauce instead. Sit in a chair if you would like, but try to get the stretch through the feet if possible. We're going to hold that yoga block like so. Elbows hugging in by our sides. You'll squeeze the block and little release of the block. We'll squeeze and release. See if you can have a zipping up through the inner thighs. Little pull of the belly button towards the spine. So our posture is all set up. We're taking this for 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold the squeeze of the block. Keep the elbows hugging in. Start to reach the arms out and then bend it back on in. Almost imagine as you reach the arms out, you're trying to hug a yoga block between the elbows as well. And if you can, pull the elbows back slightly further than you were going before. just to get a nice pinch of the shoulder blades and opening through the chest. Gazes forward. We're here for 3, 2. Great. On this next one, extend the arms out and hold. Start to lower the arms down. Squeeze that block, lift the arms up. And we go down and up. Thinking about wrapping the bony part of the elbows down towards the floor, elbow creases towards the ceiling. And we're not shrugging our shoulders up to lift our arms, right? This is coming from the arms. For 3, for 2, hold the arms out, press in and in. For 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower them down for a second. Yikes, that adds up. All right, we're gonna go for some triceps now. So arms will come up overhead. We're gonna bend the elbows. Again, think about trying to squeeze an imaginary yoga block between your elbows as well. And then we'll hinge slightly forward. If you want to come up into a little hover, so you're getting your glutes involved here, you can. We're going to extend the arms out and then bend them back. If you're coming into this hovering position, engage through those glutes, sit through the inner thighs, and keep the belly button pulled to the spine. Not rounding through the upper back. It's like there's a pull from the crown of the head to the tailbone. For 3. Keep squeezing the block. 2. Bend it back, hold, pulse in, hand in. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it all the way on down. All right. My arms need a break. I don't know about yours. So we're going to take that yoga block, bring it down onto our mat here, and we'll lay down onto our right side for some glute work. Head is resting down, arms hugging in, hips are nice and stacked. Lifting up through the bottom oblique here, we're going to lift the top leg up and then lowering it down. So maybe you weren't thinking about it, which means I shouldn't bring it up, and I'm going to bring it up in case you are thinking about it. You did have your foot on this block when we were doing our bridging. If you are nervous, I mean, just my ear touches, but if you are nervous about that at all, like breakouts, whatever the case may be, feel free to grab a tissue or a cloth and cover your yoga block. If it doesn't bother you, it's chill. Clearly it doesn't bother me very much, right? Making sure that our hips aren't rocking around. Hips are staying stacked. For 3, 2. Lift the leg and hold, draw nice big circles. I love doing this one because it really works our hip mobility as well as starts to strengthen that glute. 2 things we really need: glute strength, hip mobility. If you can, make them on the bigger side here so we are getting that mobility. How many times can I say mobility? And then reverse it. Belly button to spine. Breathing here for 3. Hold it there, extend the leg out long, flex that foot, and then bend it in. Thigh bone pulls back into the hips socket, so you have a nice crease through that hip. Finding length for 3, 2. Extend that leg out and hold. We're going to sweep the leg forward. I want you to lower and lift the leg from here. Last thing on this side. You've got it. Keep breathing. No tucking the tailbone, flare the butt back for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it all the way on down. Take a little love tap here. Use that arm strength. Use your left hand to help press you on up. We're going to take the yoga block and just go straight over to the other side. Alright, once we're down there, folks, we're going to stack our hips, lift our bottom oblique up, and start to lower and lift the leg. Can you find length between your rib cage and your hip bone? You can see that. I use touch a lot. Check in with your body, especially because I'm not there, you don't have an instructor there. Like, really good to get to know what you're doing. And you can tell a lot by just touching yourself. Hips aren't rolling back. We're taking it for 3, 2, lift and hold it, nice big circles. Now I'm in a Knicks sweatshirt, if you noticed, and though I live in New York, I'm actually not a Knicks fan, not a huge sports person, but I did just get this, and the reason why is I love the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and they go to a Knicks game, and I thought, you know, who doesn't want to date Matthew McConaughey? I'll buy myself the Knicks crew neck and kind of feel like I did for a moment, you know? Did that distract you? Did you reverse directions of the circles? Let's reverse. Trying to distract you in a good way, you know, keep the funds burning. Hold it, flex the foot, extend the leg out long. Oh, feels good to move big, and then bend it back on in. Extend out and in. What are your ribs doing in space? Can we knit them together just a little bit more? Slowing it down for the last 3, 2. Okay, extend that leg out and hold it. Kick the leg forward, hold it. Lift and lower the top leg. I was by myself and not on camera. I mean, I am by myself, but myself not on camera. I'd be swearing at this point. Ugh, it's okay if you need to. 5 more. 3, 2, a little higher because you can. And 1, bring it all the way down. Give it a little love tap. Let's use that right hand and press ourselves on up. Alright, final thing here. We're keeping it grounded today, guys. We're going to come through into a plank, but we're going to use our, you guessed it, yoga block. Alright, block's going to come in between the inner thighs once again. Starting in an all fours position, just an all fours position. Press down through the hands, round the spine, give yourself a cat. And then give yourself a cow. Pull the breastbone forward. Cat. Cow. 2 more. Last one. Okay, pause in that all fours position. Make sure that the bony part of your elbows are spiraling back. Soft bend to the elbows. Tuck the toes. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale, hover the knees up. Squeeze the block. Inhale, tap the knees down. Exhale, we lift and lower. Notice that I'm keeping a neutral spine, right? So I'm not lifting and then bending my whole body up here. You're staying in that same position. You're just hovering in the knees using your low abs and then tapping it back down. Breastbone pulls forward. 3 more. And 1. Tap it all the way on down. Alright, walk the hands slightly forward just to make this a little bit easier until you're in almost like a kneeling plank position, because you are in a kneeling plank position, and then shift your weight over your wrist, hovering the knees up. Squeeze the block as much as you can. Exhale, round the upper back, look towards your toes. Inhale, find a neutral spine, squeeze that block. Once again, my butt isn't getting any higher. I'm just coming into flexion by rounding my upper back, separating my shoulder blades, gazing towards my toes, and then neutral spine. For 3, you got it. Round and hold. Try to pull your palms back towards your toes, toes towards your palms. Squeeze that block for 3, 2, 1. Tap the knees down. Grab for your yoga block. Set it off to the side and sit it into a child's pose. Gently rock from side to side here. One more inhale. See if you can let your shoulders relax, your jaw relax. And exhale. And then we'll crawl the knees slightly forward here. Sitting down onto our bums. Taking a quick shoulder stretch, so bring the hands back behind the low back, interlace the fingertips, pull the knuckles back, lift the head if that feels okay. Take an inhale, exhale. Bring the hands to the knees, round the back here. And then lift the chest, bend the elbows. Settle back into neutral, and you guys are all set. Thanks so much for playing today. Any questions, concerns, requests, just leave them in the comments, send me a DM, do whatever, and see you guys later. Bye.